Hi everyone, welcome to Finding Joy in the Mundane. I am your host, Aya Nichols. Welcome to today's episode where we're going to be talking about how joy is our strength. And I know that joy is kind of something that has been talked about for a very long time, but I still don't think we truly understand what it is. Because joy is not happiness. But if it's not happiness, then why is it that people look happy? I get that asked all the time, that I am such a happy, positive, bubbly person. And the joke is, I used to be the most hateful, pessimistic person. Anyone who knows my story has seen and heard the things that I have gone through. They're not pretty. And surely they did not make me happy. So why is it that I am now so confident in the joy that I have? How has it become my strength? And that is something that I'm going to talk about today. So, learning how to draw strength from joy is very important in the Christian walk. Because again, joy is our strength. They shall know us by our joy. Because they will see how even though the rest of the world is in despair, God's people are good. Not just good morally, but good emotionally, good mentally. They're not shaken by disaster. They're not shaken by bad news. They keep on going. Why? Because they know who is sustaining them. And they know how this story ends. They know how their story ends. So yeah, they can have joy in any season. Joy isn't something that we chase, like happiness. Joy is something that we stand firm on. And what is it that we stand on? Is hope. Our hope in Jesus produces joy in our hearts. Our hope that He loves us and is coming back for us makes going through anything worth it, because death doesn't get the final say. He does. So no matter what I go through, it doesn't get the final say. And with Jesus on my side, could happen and I will be okay. That is what joy is. Knowing that anything and everything could go up in flames, but you will be grounded because you're grounded in Christ on the cross. Your hope isn't that one day that you're going to make enough money to where you will feel secure. My hope is not that one day I will have this enormous house and feel comfortable and safe. My hope isn't that one day everything in America is going to work out okay, that one day our government is finally going to get it right. Listen, history has shown itself over and over again. The government does not get it right. It won't get it right. So if you're putting your hope in them, you will be disappointed. If you're putting your hope in anything other than Jesus, you will be disappointed. That is the reality. You know what's interesting about true joy? Is that it's actually built from pain. It doesn't ignore it. It doesn't pretend like everything is okay. Like this wishful thinking that, oh, the world is this fairy tale and that everything I do will always work out and I will never feel alone. I will never feel pain. I will never feel rejected. You will feel all those things. But if you have joy, you still would not be shaken. True biblical hope is not wishful thinking. It's having confidence in God's promises, in who God says He is, and what He's going to do. No one shows this better than Abraham whenever he was about to sacrifice Isaac. Abraham waited 100 years, hoped 100 years that the Lord would provide. When he was 100 years old, God came to him and said that He will fill the earth with his descendants. He didn't even have one child yet. And his wife was old, very old, like 90s old. So when Abraham told her, she laughed at the idea. She was like, how could it ever even be possible? And then she got pregnant. It was then that Abraham saw that God can do the impossible. And he didn't waver after that. Whenever God then called him to sacrifice Isaac, take him up the mountain and sacrifice him, he never questioned it, never said, but Lord, how would you then make my descendants grow? Nothing. He just woke up the next morning, woke up Isaac, and up the mountain they went. And even though so many people would think that's so ridiculous, like why would he just sacrifice his son like that? Abraham saw God do the impossible already. So in his head, even if he were to be sacrificed, he knew that God would then raise him from the dead. So that way he would make descendants. He believed and hoped in His promise that much, that even though it seemed like what he even told you is not going to work out in your favor ever, you're faithful because he's faithful. You're joyful because he is your joy. And when it came time for Abraham to sacrifice, he didn't have to. That is why he had been chosen to be the father of Israel, possibly the world. That is a great honor that came with his obedience and trust in the Lord. And honestly, we don't ever have to be put in that situation. Our hope isn't even trusted that much anymore. Because most things now are easy, are comfortable. We have electricity, we have grocery stores, we have running water. If you're hungry, you don't have to go out and hunt for your own food, or you don't have to depend on the sun to grow your own food. The farmers may, but we've even been dissociated from that. We can get to just go to the grocery store and complain about how prices have gone up, which they really have. But we don't have that need to be as dependent as the Israelites were back then. That is a blessing and a curse. A blessing because we get to live out in more comfort. A curse because we don't get to see God provide in that miraculous way. Seeing manna fall from the sky, that would be cool. Maybe not manna, cupcakes, I don't know, would have been better. But we don't need to see him do that. He's already shown us who he is, the ultimate sacrifice in Jesus. Do we really need him to prove himself anymore? The Bible is filled with stories of his faithfulness over and over again. Not because of the Israelites, not because they worshiped him properly or obeyed him properly. They were awful. Every time things went well, they would forget God. Every time things turned out to be okay, they would start forgetting who made it okay. And the minute they do that, that's when their life starts to go down. That's when the tragedies happen because they've lost their own hope. They've put it into somewhere else. They saw other nations be like, well, they're doing okay. Maybe it's the God of the sun because the sun shows up every day. Surely that's more reliable than God. Who created the sun? Who makes it rise and who makes it set? God. But the minute we start putting our hope in the thing instead of the person who created it, our worlds become distraught. Our hope then is not set on something good or strong because it's not in God. Nehemiah 8:10 says, the joy of the Lord is your strength. And I did a lot of time thinking on what that really meant. And it truly is that we have a hope that won't fail us. That come high water, we're gonna be okay. Whenever the disciples went out into the sea and all that storm came, they didn't understand. Jesus was with them. They didn't understand that they had the creator of the universe who controls the sea with them. So they were freaking out while Jesus was sleeping. It was so funny if I could see that. And they were getting upset. They were like, how can you sleep? We're about to drown. He gets up and calms the sea to make them realize he is in charge of the storm. So we don't have to sit there and run around like our heads have been cut off. We can rest like he's been resting. We can sleep because we trust in him. I don't know how it's gonna work out. I don't know the details of anything. I just know that he has shown up a million times in my life, in other people's lives, that I can't deny it anymore. And that makes me happy. Seeing him work in other people's life, show up in ways I never even thought of, that brings me joy. And that solidifies my hope. Every time he shows me that he will come through. I've worked with a woman who was about to lose her house, her husband had just left her, taken her car, everything. She had 1 week to figure out how to pay 3 months worth of her mortgage. And her husband had just left, so there's no help. And I was supposed to be the help. I looked at her and said, I can't do anything. We tried calling different churches, different organizations to see if they even do like mortgage help. They don't. They really don't. So I sat with her and I prayed that the Lord would provide because that's the only option we had. And I was worried. I was scared for her, but I also trusted in the Lord. That whatever happens, she just needs to sit still in him. The week went by, the bank gave her an extension. Then her sons stepped up and took over the mortgage. Now she doesn't even have to worry about losing her house. Her husband, she doesn't even need him because she has the Lord taking care of her whole life and continues to take care of her. So it's not that you won't go through hardship. It's that the hardship will show you who God is every time. That's the purpose of it. It's never for punishment or to just for the fun of it. It's to show you who God is. Why did the Israelites have to go into the wilderness to see that he can sustain them for 40 years. They walked and wandered for 40 years and their sandals never wore out. That's crazy. But even then, they didn't fully understand what that meant. But I hope that because we now have all those stories, that we should at least have a little bit more confidence in who he is and who he said he is and what he's going to do. The question is, how do you rebuild hope when it feels completely lost? You acknowledge your situation. You acknowledge the dire circumstance. You feel it. You don't run from it. You don't try to numb it. You don't try to find your own solution, which is hard, which is very hard, because we live in a culture of independence. Like, everything you do has to depend on you. No one's gonna be out there helping you. Like, that is what it is. That's not true. One, we were never made to just be on our own. We were meant to be raised by a village. And two, we were meant to be dependent on God the whole time. So no, it's not up to you. What's up to you is to be like Jesus and rest in the storm, to be still and see God work in your life. If only you would allow him. We don't like discomfort, so we will do anything and everything to avoid it. We don't like hardship, so we won't put ourselves even in that situation. But by doing so, you're robbing yourself of the way. You're robbing yourself of seeing God work in your life. So whenever you see him actually showing up, you understand that he has been there and he will be every time. And it really is hard to take a step back and sit in that and allow him to work without you doing your striving, your scheming, whatever it is that you're trying to get control out of. And whenever it falls apart, you're disappointed. If only we knew how to be still and let God actually direct our life the way he intended it to be. We are children that are taken care of. The Israelites have been taken care of this whole time. And every time, they were the ones that walked away from their own hope, their own joy, and they wonder why they lost it. Because they thought it was somewhere else. They saw someone be happy with something circumstantial, and they were like, oh, well, maybe this is it. And they went for it. And then it was taken away from the both of them, and they were both left with nothing. So then they're in despair. They cry out to the Lord, and the Lord shows up, and he provides. And then again and again, throughout history, we're a people with very short memory spans. I love what Lamentation says. It says, yet this I call to mind, and therefore I have hope. Because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed. Though the world is up in flames, we will stand strong. We will not be consumed by the fire. But they were still willing to walk through it. They didn't run from the fire. They didn't try to extinguish it. They trusted the Lord through the fire. And they trusted that God knows what he's doing way more than we know what we're doing. Because let's be honest, even science has been wrong about a million things now. Whatever control we think we have is an illusion. So, when circumstances happen and it doesn't stand strong and your hope was in it, you will be hurt. The only way hope is built is with truth. Seeing him be who he says he is. Seeing him provide, seeing him fight for you, seeing him go against all odds just for you. How could you not love a God like that? So joy isn't a feeling. It's not even a destination, like to finally have joy. It's literally a daily practice. It's a thing that you live in every day. You wake up confident in God, that he has your best interests at heart, and he will take care of it. So whenever you hear rumors of things going wrong and you start getting worried, you may not know how, you may not know when, or even why, but he will show up for you. And you will know that it's him. And if we weren't so stubborn to see it, it may not take as much as it does now to finally actually see his work in our life. Some people are really stubborn. So God has to put them in hard situations to get their attention. At this point, I think I have gone through a lot of life's challenges at a young age. And for the longest time, I thought that made me weak. I believed that I was so wounded that I'm this fragile thing, that my hope is even fragile, that my joy would be fragile, because I have seen what the world has to offer and it's not good. I have seen people be hurt and then hurt people in ways unimaginable. But I have also seen God restore them and heal them and give them peace. So now I really do find it my strength that I never understood that I have. The enemy can't do anything to me that I have already been through. Homelessness, abandonment, you name it. But God had got me through all of it. Was it hard? Yes. Did I survive? Obviously. And I've learned that he will always have the final say. And in that, I can put my hope and it will produce joy in me. Tomorrow, My bank account can be wiped out. I will be scared. I'll be honest, I have feelings. I will turn to God and He will show up. I know He would. And I know He'd have a reason, and we'll find out when it happens and when it's time. But till then, He is my strength. He is my joy. He is my comfort. He is my salvation. He is everything I ever need. And the more I trust and believe that, the more joy I have and that I get to share with other people. So I pray that whatever you're going through, whatever storm, that you would stand firm in the hope and in the truth that God is good and that He will be there when you call upon Him, that He will show up for you if you lean on Him. If you want to do things on your own, that is your right, your freedom. I highly don't recommend it. Plus, why? Why would you choose to just go on your own to prove that you can be independent? I'm good depending on God, whatever needy that looks like. So I hope that this kind of showed you a little bit more about where joy comes from and why I started this entire show, to show people that joy is not something that you chase, is not something that you build even. It's something that is produced in you by God, by His mercy, by His hope, and seeing Him provide. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next episode. Bye!